Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got another huge poll here to get to. This is Rasmussen, the completely non-biased pollster, has Donald Trump up 3. Their polls in Pennsylvania in 2020 were amazing. And even their last poll that they did, it was basically a tied race. Now Trump is +3 in Pennsylvania. And you do have the Senate very close, with Casey only up by 2 over McCormick. So this is a really good poll, and it just goes to show this is exactly what we've seen within the past few weeks. Some of these swing states really tightening, some of them like Michigan and Pennsylvania flipping to where Trump is leading and Wisconsin is basically tied. We know about North Carolina and Georgia being slight Trump leans. We know Arizona is a Trump lean, and we know Nevada now has gone to 50-50 after Harris was the favorite when you look at the betting and everything like that. And you look at this, it hasn't even been put in, I don't think. No, it hasn't. The new Rasmussen poll has not been put in for Pennsylvania, and Trump is still sitting plus 0.1. So once Bloomberg gets knocked out, although there's going to be probably more Bloomberg polls that come in, that's going to be annoying. But I don't think it's going to be Harris +5. It'll probably be Harris +2 or +3, if that. And when the Rasmussen poll gets put in, you're going to see Trump probably have like a 1 to a 1.2 point lead in Pennsylvania as he expands his lead. He's got a lead in Michigan. I mean, he's starting to lead all these states, and these are really good polling numbers for Trump in states like Pennsylvania, where the margin's going to be very slim. But if you get a +3, a +4, you will have the overall edge in terms of the aggregate. And that's what we're seeing from that. And you can see when it comes to the presidential election winner, Trump is maintaining around a 10-point lead over Harris. And he's had that lead for basically a week at this point, or maybe a little bit less than a week, But I mean, it's been a solid 8-9 point lead in terms of the betting for over a week. And really, I thought there was going to be some correction, and maybe there was some slight correction because Trump went up by about 12 and it's come back down a little bit. It was around 9, it was around 8. And I still think there could be some more correction because it's not like the polls are ridiculously outrageous like they were with Trump and Biden, to where Trump was leading every state by like 5 or 6 points. But nonetheless, you are seeing Trump. This is very healthy. He's maintaining, ever since he took the lead here, he's been able to maintain this big lead in terms of the betting. And with the recent polls, you know, there were some bad Republican internal polls last night that came out. But it's seemingly that really, maybe it affected it a little bit, but we've seen Trump shoot right back up in terms of the betting, and those Republican internal polls are not going to be input onto Real Clear Politics or anything like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Either way, Donald Trump looks really, really good right now, especially in Pennsylvania with that new poll. It's not a +1, it's not a +2, but it's a +3. You know, you take a +1, a +2, you get a few of them. It's good news, but you really want to be up by 3, 4, because then you're starting to get outside of the margin of error. And so that is good news when it comes to Pennsylvania right there. We've also got Bill Clinton. I mean, Bill Clinton is like campaigning for Trump at this point. It's pretty crazy what Bill Clinton's saying.
You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
But if they're all properly vetted, and that doesn't happen, and America is not having enough babies.
So Bill Clinton is coming out and endorsing Trump, basically. I mean, obviously, I don't know if he misspoke or whatever, but it's just funny to see that. And then this is interesting. This is from Gallup. So I don't know if Gallup updated their overall party identification, because remember, they had it Republicans +3. According to CNN here, it has Republicans +1. I wonder if they updated it, but obviously Gallup is really good when it comes to the party ID coinciding with the national popular vote. They've got it within a point in the past like 5 elections. That's why whenever that, I don't know if it did just release, I figure I would have seen it on my timeline, but you can see it was Republicans +3. Now it's Republicans +1. I mean, they're CNN, they're talking about this like it's a huge thing for Republicans, and it is very good. I mean, this is a huge shift we're seeing. This is just the popular vote. So it's the party ID. And so the only argument you can make is that when they release if you are a liberal, when they release the final one, because Gallup is going to release a final one at one point, maybe it'll be +3 Dem, +4 Dem like it was in 2016. If you're a Republican, you want it to be, if it's +1 Dem, that's good. If it's tied, that's good. If it's plus Republican 1, that's good. Even if it's plus Dem, +2 Dem, that would be good as well. because, you keep the popular vote within 2 points, you're probably going to win. Although it's going to be a little bit different this year because Republicans are going to make up a lot of ground in terms of the popular vote in liberal states, meaning they're not going to win the electoral votes, but they're going to make up ground on the popular vote, basically saying it's going to be a much closer, election. We're not going to see these crazy swings like where Trump almost won the electoral college while losing the popular vote by 4 points. The reason that happens is because they run up crazy margins in liberal states like California and New York. And it's just, it'll happen again. They'll run up big margins in California, but it's not going to be nearly as much. But it doesn't really matter if Republicans are sitting +1 in terms of this, what Gallup is doing in their survey, because Gallup has always been right the past 5 elections in terms of party ID survey, which is what they do, and the actual popular vote number being within 1 point. And so if we're going into the election with a Gallup poll saying the party ID is +1 Republican, unless there's a deviation from what we've seen the past 2.5 decades in U.S. politics, you're going to see Trump probably win the popular vote, or at least maybe lose it by like 1/4 of a point. So this is huge stuff. And you're like, that's a crazy shift. You had a +3. Remember, Trump basically swept all the swing states, what was it, outside of Nevada in 2016? And that's with Dems being +3 according to Gallup. 2016, Dems were +6, Trump nearly won. 2017, Republicans are +1. A 7-point swing from 2020 to 2024. So this is really remarkable stuff, and I'll be waiting for... I don't know if this is the actual update, because Gallup released their updated numbers, and it was Republicans +3, and now CNN is saying it's Republicans +1, which is still good for Republicans. Even if it's Dems +1, it's still good for Republicans, because of the way the electoral math works. But either way, I would say if you can go into the election night tied in terms of the national party ID, down 1, +1... that's a win if you're a Republican. There would have to be a crazy deviation that we haven't seen in over 2 decades for it to signal a Harris victory, because if she wins the popular vote by a point, she's not winning the electoral college, even with the recent shifts that we've seen in New York and possibly Illinois and California and Florida, and all of those states are getting more conservative. So Trump's going to make up more ground in terms of the popular vote. And we do know that even if Trump wins Pennsylvania by 2.5 to 3, that's still a close race. So the Rust Belt's, no matter what, is going to be close. The only way it wasn't going to be close is if they kept Biden in, and then maybe, even then, I think they try and make it closer. Maybe it gets a little bit tighter, but they were trying to get Biden out, and that's when those polls came out, and they had Trump up by 5 or 6 in basically all the Rust Belt states. Part of that was because they wanted Trump to be up so they could pressure Biden to drop out. It's political strategy, and that's why they leaked all the internal polls that said Biden was losing New Mexico. But these numbers are very, very good for Republicans. Everything that I've seen outside of like a Republican internal last night, everything I've seen is very, very good. You had the 2 huge polls yesterday, national liberal polls that loved Biden in 2020. They loved Kamala up until like 2 weeks ago. Now all of their crosstabs, and you also look at the favorability for Kamala Harris, it's going down again. Because remember, it was fake when it went up. She was 3.5 years as VP. She was one of the most unlikable VPs ever. She was consistently -14, -15 in terms of approval. And then out of nowhere, like pixie dust, oh my God, now she's likable. It makes no sense. What did she do in the span of 3 months? Nothing. It was just fake hype. And now people are not falling for it anymore, and her approval rating is going back down, basically even with Trump, which would be a death sentence for her campaign if that ended up being true. If the final numbers on approval rating in the exit polls are like even, she's not winning like that. There's no way against Trump. So pretty much everything I've seen the past few days has been amazing for Trump. He's maintaining a big lead, which I didn't even expect. I said there was going to be a correction within Polymarket. There's been no correction. Trump is maintaining a 10-point lead. I said, let's calm down. It's going to go back down. It ebbs and flows. We haven't even seen a correction within Polymarket. And I think people just realize that if you factor in all the data in 2016, 2020, you get this new Rasmussen poll, Trump +3 in Pennsylvania. Now you're getting multiple polls, some liberal polls coming out saying Trump's leading Michigan, when the entire liberal narrative was that, oh my God, she's going to win Michigan. Now they're running ads against Jill Stein in Michigan because Jill Stein is stealing the Muslim vote. Remember back in 2016 when Jill Stein got 1% of the vote in Michigan, Trump won it by 0.3%. Jill Stein is a huge issue. Cornel West is a huge issue for Democrats because these elections in these swing states are so close. They're going to siphon off 1.5 to 2 points. RFK Jr.'s endorsed Trump, so he's not going to take much from Trump. And so it's going to help Donald Trump in the end. And Pretty much everything I've seen says that Trump probably is going to sweep all the swing states. Right now, everything looks very good for it. All of the polls look good. The party ID looks good for a potential Republican popular vote victory or a very narrow loss. It's going to be this is the best Trump is polling by far. It's not even close in 2020 or 2016. In 2020, he was polling terribly. You know, when you look at the popular vote in some of the swing states, 2016 it was even worse. The popular vote was closer in 2016, the polls. But even now, they're even closer. It's like 1.7 Harris lead in terms of the net average, according to Real Clear Politics. And I think that's even going to get closer, honestly, because you're starting to see liberal polls. What was it, NBC, that had Harris +6? Now they've got Harris +2. There was another poll from a national pollster, CBS. I think they have it tied now in terms of a popular vote. Donald Trump involved in an election tied in a liberal pollster with just the pure popular vote. If we end with Harris getting 48.7, Trump getting 48.3, the election's not close. Trump's winning over 300 electoral votes based on electoral math. So this is really big stuff, and it's good. And the Rasmussen poll has Trump +3, and that's going to have to be inputted because they do input. They put in. I believe they do. They put the Rasmussen polls in. Yeah, if they put in Trafalgar, they're going to put in Rasmussen, and that's going to push Trump ahead to And there it is, right there. Would you look at that? Rasmussen, it bumps Trump up. They still have the Bloomberg poll on there. See, once they drop that Bloomberg out, Trump's going to go up to like a point, I'm telling you. But Trump's now sitting +0.3. Biden on this day was +7. Hillary was +8.2. Way wrong. Crazy errors. Back-to-back errors in 2016 and 2020. This is another thing that people don't talk about. The midterm polls in 2018 were relatively accurate. See, this is the narrative that they're trying. Well, in 2022, all of the polls shifted, and now that everyone's overestimating Republicans. Well, no, in 2022, the polls were correct, and they were right on. I mean, yeah, they missed some states here and there, but that was an accurate. If you look, and you're in the polling business, 2022 was considered a good year for polls. Liberals try and say like they way overestimated conservatives in every single state. No, they got the generic vote, just the generic ballot vote off by like 0.5. It's crazy, and it was Republicans who won it. When you look at these numbers, these are ridiculous. Biden up by 7, he won by a point. That's a 6-point error. Hillary up by 8.2, she lost. That's a 9-point error. Trump sitting +0.3. Did they really deviate that much to now overcorrect and now overfavor Trump? Really? I mean, it's just like insider advantage was really good in 2020. They've got Trump up by 2. Quinnipiac has Trump losing by 2, but remember, this was the same polling drop with Quinnipiac where they had Trump up by 4 in Michigan. The same polling drop, up 4 in Michigan, and winning Wisconsin by 2 as well, by the way. So these are really good numbers. We're going to have to see another Atlas Intel drop is coming. Fox News is coming. Bloomberg is coming. Those are the ones we're waiting on right now. Those are the ones I'm expecting. There was rumors of an Atlas Intel drop over the weekend. It didn't happen. Fox News is going to release new polling soon. Bloomberg is going to release new polling soon, and we'll have to see. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.